But anyway, the media is coming after Pete Hegseth for this. The Atlantic editor, Jeffrey Goldberg, who I honestly do not trust as far as I could throw him if I ever got close enough to throw him anywhere. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling. All right, so we got a lot to talk about here because there's a couple polar opposite reactions in the media. Not surprisingly, there's the Jeffrey Goldberg reaction, which goes along with MSNBC, CNN, for instance. CNN looks something like this: the biggest scandal of Trump 2.0 is no scandal at all on MAGA media. It's the biggest scandal ever. And then there's the Sean Hannity reaction, which is just like, oh, what, you guys care about this now when you were covering for Biden's mental decline for years, the whataboutism. But there's a third option here, and that is, what if this whole thing was planned? I mean, I'm going to throw that to Bill. What if the whole thing is actually a planned leak, all right, just to get this exact reaction going? But in order to think through all of this, your brain is going to have to be working at optimal levels. And we recommend checking out the product our family has been taking for over a decade. Go to greenpasture.org and use promo code Allison for 10% off any of the products at checkout. But this is the product we love: fermented cod liver oil and concentrated butter oil blend. It is full of all kinds of great vitamins like vitamin D, vitamin A, and omega-3s. It's great for brain health, for your immune system, for muscle health, for joint health. Like if you're somebody who struggles with fibromyalgia, you have chronic fatigue, maybe you're somebody like me who got cavities all the time. I used to get cavities all the time. I'd go to the dentist like I was supposed to every 6 months, and they say you have more cavities. And I was likely vitamin D deficient, along with other things. So this product is formulated the way Dr. Weston Price said you should get all of these great vitamins. He was a dentist at the turn of the century. Lots of his patients were starting to get cavities. He said, instead of just taking a fermented cod liver oil or a butter oil, instead of taking basically like a vitamin A or a vitamin D, you should take both of these together, because what's in each of them synergistically helps the absorption of both. Okay, if you start an account, you get 6 at one time, you will get 10% off for that. And then you'll get another 10% off for using the promo code Allison. But they've got lots of great products. Go check it out. Fermented cod liver oil, butter oil blend. I like the cinnamon tingle flavor. And use promo code Allison at checkout. You will get 10% off. All right, Bill. So where do you land on all of this? Are you on the Brit Hume side, which here, I'll show you the Hill. This is the Hill reporting on him. Fox's Brit Hume on Hegseth's response to war plans text. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, so he's not buying it. He says here that Pete Hegseth's claim that nobody was texting war plans. Basically, Hume says, oh, for God's sake, the administration has already confirmed the authenticity of the message, pushing back, saying, get over it. But still taking all this at face value. Okay. Even though he's pushing back, it's still taking it at face value, which I honestly am having a hard time with. Or, are you with the Goldberg? Like you really believe he was unintentionally included in this? Or are you with the CNN? This should be the biggest scandal ever, and nobody in the Republican world cares. Where do you stand on this, Bill?
I mean, we've seen things like this happen before. I don't know why this is a huge deal other than it being a security leak. If it was a leak, I got to find the motivation behind if it was a plant, this was a planted leak or whatever. I mean, number one, I don't think anybody in the Trump administration is that bright to pull something off like this. And number two, what's the benefit to the Trump administration if they did do this? Somebody's really got to sell me on the idea that this was a planned leak. So, and I'll toss it back to you for that. But I mean, folks, do we not remember when Geraldo Rivera was drawing war plans in the dirt live as the 101st Airborne was moving in Iraq? Do we not remember that? I mean, come on, man. This is not the first time something like this has happened.
Well, okay. And to your point, it is a good point. Now, however, it wouldn't be the first time ever that there had been some kind of media plant for plans, foreign intervention plans. I mean, that kind of stuff has happened too. The media is used all the time for this kind of thing.
Okay.
This is what caught my attention. This is an NPR article. A Pentagon-wide email recently went out warning about Signal's vulnerability. This is published today, but they're talking about an email saying that a vulnerability has been identified in the Signal Messenger application. The use of Signal by common targets of surveillance and espionage activity has made the application a high-value target to intercept sensitive information. And they go on about Russian professional hacking groups and whatever. So they send out this warning. Okay, this was dated March 18th. All right, and then and the memo is like, look, Google's identified Russian hacking groups that are targeting this. I will just say Signal spokesperson said that they're not aware of any vulnerabilities or any that they haven't addressed. But Pentagon memo adds, please note third-party messaging apps, e.g. Signal, are permitted by policy for unclassified accountability recall exercises, but are not approved to process or store non-public, unclassified information. So this email goes out, and then all of a sudden, Jeffrey Goldberg is accidentally on some Signal text thread about bombing Yemen. I don't know, Bill. I mean, look, my husband, who is in the military, might agree with you too. He thinks I always go down the rabbit hole way too fast. He thinks that there's way too many dumb people working in the military and the government to pull all the stuff together in a way that I think it all happens. So I'm perfectly open to the fact that I could be reading too much into this. But I think this is weird. I think it's weird that this email went out. I think it's weird NPR has that information. I think it's weird that just a few days later, all of a sudden, randomly, Jeffrey Goldberg is on some thread. And just like look at some of this stuff. That if I can find the picture, oh, they're gonna make me subscribe. There's like emojis and everything in it. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of the whole thing just seems a little bit silly to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm having a hard time landing on either side of the polarities here, but I just really am not sure what to think about all of this.
Well, let me ask, what do you think would be the motivation for this?
I don't know. I think our military industrial complex in this country is totally nuts. I really can't quite figure out what makes them do like many of the things that they do. But looking back on some of the stuff that we've done over, just in the last like 70 years, going back to like JFK, Cuba, and like his assassination and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know. We've done some really weird stuff. And so why would they want Jeffrey Goldberg to be writing about this? I mean, on one hand, it could be distract from something else. We're all talking about this. There could be something else going on. Maybe they wanted it framed in a particular way because there's some kind of other special interest related to Yemen that I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I
think
don't know. I don't
sometimes
know, Bill.
the simplest answer is the correct one. And I think in this particular instance, somebody just screwed up. I really don't think it's, I don't think it's anything deeper than that. And I honestly also don't think it's that big of a deal because I just can't see the United States bombing Yemen right now, especially with everything else that's going on in that region. So why escalate it, especially when Yahoo, whatever you pronounce his name, has really undermined and undercut Trump's message about, we need to wrap things up in here. And then the Israelis escalate things during a ceasefire. So it's, I think it was a screw up, or maybe it was one of the botch jobs. But you said something that triggered me. And remember back when there was a leak about how the Supreme Court, there was an email leak among the staffers that the Supreme Court was going to overturn Roe versus Wade. And I said, man, that's never going to happen. And it was less than a year later. So maybe there is something to what you're saying. Okay. Yeah.
They leak that stuff all the time. Oh, yeah. I mean, they leak that stuff all the time. AllisonWinePromo.com. Go get your bottle of wine, whether it's, the Pentagon that is keeping you up at night, or it is your genetic material being sold. Then you go to AllisonWinePromo.com, and that's a lipstick. Sorry, Lily's putting on my makeup. Yes, you can.
Not yet, Lily. Too young.
Go ahead. Can't go out with it. Yeah, she's putting on some red lipstick. We'll take that off before we go out. Anyway, she's 4 going on 14. Get your AllisonWinePromo.com. You will get 6 bottles of wine every 3 months. They're clean wines, hand-selected for everything I like. Some of the grapes are grown between 6,000 and 9,000 feet in elevation, very remote regions of the world. It's a great way to support the show and also have an amazing bottle of wine on hand for whatever awkward party you're going to, cocktail party, birthday party, genetic material party. That sounds dirty. AllisonWinePromo.com, support the show. But I just, I mean, this kind of the idea that they would do something like this, I think it should at least be considered. I haven't seen any media operation yet in mainstream media asking that question. Like, they're all just either, like I said, running with the Jeffrey Goldberg line, which is like, oh yeah, and is he going to show us everything, you know? And apparently, yeah, I'll show you though. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to showing you everything they were saying in the messaging app. And, you know, CNN calling it the biggest blunder and how like nobody in MAGA media is talking about it. Or like the Brit Hume sort of, I don't know, center Republican, oh, come on type reaction. Or then there's the defense, you know, like this isn't a big deal. Like the Hannity, you know, it's no big deal. Get over it. Like it's just, but I haven't seen anyone say anything about like, well, maybe this is, this was intentional. I haven't seen anybody ask that question. I have no idea. And like I said, I'm fully open to the fact, like my husband thinks, like I said, I mean, so many of the things that he's just like, there's no way that all these people would be able to keep it a secret that this particular thing happened intentionally versus what we're hearing accidentally or whatever. There's no way. There's just too many people in the chain of command. Something would get out. We'd find out about it. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot we have not found out about until decades later that crazy stuff, crazy. Benghazi is a great example. Benghazi is a great example. So I don't know. I just don't know what to think about it. But I think the media reaction is interesting. And like I said, I think the fact that okay, come on, you guys sent out something to the entire staff saying that Signal is really vulnerable, and then you put these plans, you know, in Signal. Oh, look, Bill, if I was texting in Signal with my bosses at DNR and we had some covert operation, you know, I'm talking because this is the only example I have for working for the state. You know, I used to work for the Department of Natural Resources. And like in Signal, we talked about, or actually we use, what is the Microsoft thing? Teams or something like that, whatever. But we would, if we were doing group text, I mean, that was like, okay, let's talk about tomorrow's press conference. Who's setting up the banner? Who's setting up the microphone?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just don't believe in today's day and age these kinds of things are put in Signal. I just don't. I don't know. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you will. All right. This is a supporter only show. This is okay. And a good point over on Locals. You want to be on Locals on the editorial board, then you get to opine on all of this and you get the full show because Tittle Tattle is for supporters only in its entirety. AllisonMar.locals.com, $5 a month. And Critical Thought says, yes, is it Operation Mockingbird, which is basically how the CIA influences the media, or Hanlon's Razor, which I believe is basically like, don't attribute malice to something where stupidity is a better explanation, or where stupidity could be the explanation. Don't attribute malice because it's usually going to be stupidity more than it is going to be malice. So, yeah, I don't know. Send me some mail if you don't want to be on the internet because you're afraid that your plans for whatever you're doing that's secretive are going to get leaked to the Atlantic. You can send me real mail because I know that the Atlantic does not have my P.O. Box key. Send me mail, P.O. Box 3355, Denellen, Florida 34432.